California voters pass Proposition 3, enshrining same-sex marriage rights in the state constitution. CBS News projects. Am I dumb? The AP still shows everything as 58% reporting. About to find out that it was never about state rights. Never. Need a federal law that states any marriage between two consenting adults 18 or older is legal. That's it. That's the law. The government shouldn't give a shit if it's two men or two women or a trans man, woman to a man, woman or whatever. So long as both parties consent to the marriage. Fuck off government. They went all out on Roe v. Wade. You best believe same-sex marriage is next on the chopping block. In the same vein, abolishing slavery is somehow losing like what's going on in California. I should be happier about this. Prop 8 was a hugely traumatic point in my life. And it's gone. But with everything else going on, it doesn't really matter. And it will always be under attack. Federal judge rules Illinois assault weapons ban unconstitutional. This decision was given by Southern District Court Judge Stephen McGlynn, and stays his own order for 30 days so that the appellate court has a chance to reverse it. As an IL resident, this law was way too aggressive in what it tried to do. It effectively made almost all semi-auto guns illegal. It also banned a number of guns not commonly used in crime simply because big caliber sounds scary, and also defined many accessibility and cosmetic features in guns as assault weapon parts. As a left-handed shooter, I had problems getting a left-handed safety switch for a rifle of mine. Because it was classified as an assault weapon part, this bill was never going to make it in the courts. Greater than this ruling is a slap in the face to every single person in Illinois who's been affected by gun violence. Because those of us who have been personally affected by gun violence know the pain and trauma that comes from experiencing this, Jacoby said. And this judge's ruling is callous and unfounded in my opinion. Meanwhile, 93% of gun homicides in Illinois are committed with pistols. Great, now let's arm all minorities. I'm in Iowa and we are major gun owners, and people paid attention to this where I am from. Not because of the wording or the possible implications or the right or wrong, but because they all want bigger and better guns. Banana clips and machine guns are the goal. In reality, I take issue with the ban because it is too vague and allows too much enforcement. It basically reads that they can come into your home and search. It also has vague details that could make all sorts of things potentially illegal. Woman hitchhiking in the snow was killed in 1974. 50 years later, cops say they arrested her killer. Mugshot. https www.kim.com/news/crime/Minnesota-man-arrested-for-50-year-old-murder-in-8F19D44. C9E0111EF81B 6-678 F7265 FEDC. HTML. Greater than 50 years after the murder case of a 24-year-old woman went cold, authorities say they identified her killer. Greater than Mary Kay Schleiss was stabbed to death on February 15, 1974, when she was believed to be hitchhiking from Minneapolis to Chicago for an art show. Now, 5 decades later, the Dunn County Sheriff's Office arrested John Keith Miller, 84, for her homicide. Greater than investigators found Miller from genetic evidence. A hair found on a hat left at the crime scene. According to the criminal complaint seen by CBS News, the hat belonged to Miller. He told investigators. Greater than after tracking him down at his apartment in Owatonna, Minnesota, police interviewed Miller, who confirmed his involvement with Mary's homicide in 1974, the sheriff said. Greater than Miller confessed that he had picked up the young hitchhiker and asked for sexual contact. The Complaint says she refused his advances, prompting him to grab a knife in the car and fatally stab her in the back. Greater than he faces one first-degree murder charge. Records show the 84-year-old is being held in custody in Steele County, Minnesota, and is awaiting extradition to Dunn County later on Friday. Greater than in 1974, it wasn't that unusual for somebody to hitchhike their way from Minneapolis to Chicago. But it's stories like this that is the reason we don't let our kids do it anymore, Bide said. This was a very bright young lady who had a very bright future ahead of her. And her life was taken away from her way too young. I wonder how many hitchhikers have been killed without the perpetrator being identified. She asked for a ride. He tried to get sex. She said no. Tried to leave. He stabbed her in the back and killed her. The guy has more than 1 foot in the grave. She did not get the justice she deserved. Imagine carrying that secret for nearly 50 years. All while the world moved on. It's incredible what new DNA technology can bring to light. And a reminder that justice may be slow, but it never stops seeking the truth. Rest in peace. And may her family finally find some closure. This case is a stark reminder that the perfect crime is becoming harder to hide from with each passing year. The real justice in these cases is the family of the victim getting closure. And the family of the perpetrator learning what a vile pos their loved one was. Rosen wins Nevada 2024 Senate election, CBS News projects. See the race results. So that just leaves Arizona. Republicans are laughing either way. They have a majority even without Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. But every Senate seat is significant, and Kari Lake, even by MAGA standards, is just terribly and dangerously stupid. Guess take the W where you can. Just waiting for Lake to hopefully lose. This gives Dems 46 to 47 seats, which is well within the margin needed to avoid cloture. The only thing going through the Senate over the next 2 years is appropriations. Edit. This is why there will never be filibuster reform. It ensures minority rights. Edit 2. The only way to remove the filibuster would be for Republicans to invoke the nuclear option. So far this has only been used to push through nomination appointments by both parties. The nuclear option has never been used for legislation and would wildly upset the balance in the Senate. House majority will also only be like 1 or 2 seats, aka a shit show. The tariffs will likely not be as far-reaching as even Section 230 has limits, and bigger ones Trump envisions will need congressional approval. More likely a tax bill that needs to get through with nearly 0 defections. Filibuster getting nuked likely off table as well. All the comments on abortion are unlikely. Rights won't be expanded but also not attacked federally as the one thing people in Congress care more about than meeting with lobbyists is keeping their jobs. 26 midterms. Any House member that is in an urban area or major university town will be vulnerable. Not to mention several Republican senators. Maine, NC, TX, EA, and MT. Don't get me wrong, there's gonna be awful stuff, but the congressional support won't really be there. In 26 it reverses in the House at least. Oh, another blue senator in a swing state that went red for the presidency? Pretty wild. Not a single one of them flipped for Harris. I'm aware it's probably just people who don't give a fuck only voting for Trump, but the implication is more fun. Maryland, California election offices received bomb threats, officials say. This is indicative of what can only be described as a perfectly healthy and fully functioning society. Blue states and swing states received a bunch of bomb threats. Georgia and Pennsylvania also received bomb threats. Seems like it should be a bigger deal. One theory is that it provides cover to doubt a physical recount by screwing up the chain of custody of ballots. Deleted. I'm sure we all already know what the perpetrators look like. Odd that the bomb threats are back. Didn't they win?